This is Michael McKeon, a.k.a. Morris Fletcher, a.k.a. Chuck McGill. You know who I am. But it's time for Inside the Gilliverse with Eric Broadbent.
You're watching Inside the Gilliverse, talking all things Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. Brought to you by the Royal Baubles Collection at bobbleheads.com. For all your favorite characters from the Gilliverse, shop the Royal Baubles Collection at bobbleheads.com. Also brought to you by Rode Microphones, the official microphone supplier of Inside the Gilliverse. See their entire lineup today at rode.com. Now please welcome your host, Eric Broadbent.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Season 3, Episode 2 of Inside the Gilliverse, talking all things Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. My name is Eric Broadbent, and it comes always with great pleasure to welcome tonight's guest. First time here Inside the Gilliverse, actor and comedian Mike Batayeh. Mike, how are you?
Hello, everybody in the Gilliverse.
Did I get the pronunciation right? I hope I did. Did I do it right?
Batayeh, yes, you got it right.
All right, fantastic. I guess I got this. Where is it? Where is it here? I got to get it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's right here.
What?
Okay, we're good. I got it right. All right. First time I got a pronunciation right here on the show. Anyways, it's fantastic to have you. And I was thinking you're down in the in Pacific time, down in California, but you're just across the border over in Michigan right now.
Moved back to my home state of Michigan. Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Nice. Yeah, we're like I could be over there. I could get in the car right now and see you in a half an hour and 45 minutes, and we'll do the show from your place.
We can literally stand on the edge of each side of the river and be like, "What's up?"
Actually, that's we'd have to do it because of the protocols across the border. But yeah, we could shout across.
We're not seeing each other.
So how you been keeping? Doing good? I mean, with this, you doing good?
Huh?
You doing good?
Yeah. No. During the quarantine and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I've been staying in shape, eating right. I used to get my, in the beginning, I was getting a little waist. I just would get my workouts by going to the supermarket and wrestling with old people over toilet paper. So that kept me in shape.
Yeah,
yeah, it's because Michigan's like a foodie state too. So there's like a lot of, and I have a couple of sisters that live close by that can cook their asses off. So
I was trying
to stay fit and sexy for the camera.
Yeah, that's right. That's probably hard. That's kind of hard in lockdown, isn't it, to stay sexy for the camera, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about hometown Detroit. I mean, I've gone to so many concerts over. You and I were talking off the air a little bit about this as well too, about living in Detroit. But I mean, Detroit was always for us in Canada a great place to go catch great concerts. Pine Knob, Joe Louis, Palace of Auburn Hills, and stuff like that. All those good places. But what's it like growing up in Detroit? Like, what was like your childhood like over there?
So you guys in Canada all came here for the culture. And then me and my age range back in the day, we came to your place to get drunk because legal age of drinking was 19. So, like I said before, Don Cherries, baby.
Don Cherries.
Growing up in Detroit, I grew up in Southwest Detroit. Actually, Jack White from the White Stripes?
Yes.
He lived directly behind me. Like our family were friends, so we got a lot of talent pool in the neighborhood. But and I grew up in I'm Jordanian, but I grew up in a predominantly Latino neighborhood.
Okay.
Like right here in Mexican town, all that. So I was exposed to a lot of different cultures, like, Black, Puerto Rican, some Koreans and Arabs, and we were all in the mix in Southwest Detroit.
Cool. And I guess you had your priorities right. Come out to Canada for the drinks, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. We're good for something, aren't we?
Perfect. It was perfect for that.
We might not. A
lot of brain cells in Canada for sure.
We might not be a big military force to support our big brothers and sisters over in the United States, but we certainly have easier access to beer.
Yeah, exactly.
Love
like
it.
The marathons, and Americans run by, you were handing out cups of Molson to us, and we were running by. Thanks.
Yeah, that's hilarious. We already got some questions coming in. I've got a bunch of questions for you as well, and our fans and the chat are going to have some great questions as well too. But this is from Bob Rich. Bob probably from the Vince Gilligan group.
Yeah, I know Bob Rich from
the
Facebook thing. We communicate every now and then.
That's right.
Hey, Bob. By the way, Bob, if you're watching this, I got kicked off of Facebook, so if I'm not answering your things, that means Zuckerberg kicked me off for a joke. So anyways, go ahead.
It's amazing what they kick you off for and what they let you stay on for. We won't get into politics here, but it's amazing what can happen, right?
Oh, I can tell you what I said, and you tell me.
Okay, if
you want me to tell you?
Is it PG friendly?
Okay.
Is it PG friendly?
PG friendly. Because I do like a lot of jokey things. I'll do like fake quotes from people, So I did one just kind of commenting on cancel culture and all the language Nazis and all that stuff happening. So now algorithms have taken over and they're just looking for key trigger words now. They don't get content. So I said, once you lose your sense of humor, your sense of humanity will soon follow.
Okay.
Signed, Adolf Hitler.
Oh, yeah.
And I put language Nazis, cancel culture. They just came back and said, you mentioned a dangerous individual's name. And I tried to get it reviewed and they go, oh, too much time has passed. You're done. So that's why. Yeah. So sorry, Bob. Because I know he was reaching out to me quite a bit.
Yeah, and I noticed that because you and I were friends on Facebook at one time, and I noticed you had disappeared. And I thought either I said something inappropriate, but there you go.
No, it was me.
There you go. You're the inappropriate one. Yeah.
Come on, buddy.
Yeah, no, you got to stand up for what you believe in for sure. But here is a question from Bob. He says, what are your favorite comedy scenes from Breaking Bad, and why is humor such an important part of the show?
Well, humor alleviates any dangerous situation, any, somber situations. I mean, I grew up in a very dangerous neighborhoods and I, kind of saved my own life with humor in some certain sticky situations. I used to run with a bad crowd when I was younger. Mm-hmm. But I can't point out specific ones because every episode had bits of humor. I mean, one of the funniest episodes in general and highly touted episodes was just a one scene situation where he's trying to kill a goddamn fly. Yes,
actually, we talked about that a lot on the show, and it's a good one.
It was a very hard thing to do, for a show to sit there, and it's a scary place. You're just in one location, one room, mm-hmm. and to make it work and keep the viewers watching. Humor was in my opinion, was a good vice to keep the audiences interested.
Agreed.
And that was, to me, one of the most brilliant ways that genius Vince Gilligan, not to kiss his ass, but I'll keep kissing it. He is a maniacal genius, this guy. I even said, where does this come from? Because he's such a unassuming, very nice guy, just gentle as can be, and just demented things are coming, genius things coming out of his gourd. I don't know how he does it, but that was as a comedian, I study comedy. And that was I think it was underappreciated, the comedy that was in that episode.
I agree. And you're members of these different groups, Bob's group on Facebook and a bunch of other ones. I'm sure you see this occasionally. You'll get some people, and there's no, I'm not slamming the people that say this, because there are a lot of people that say it. They'll skip by through the episodes. They'll come up to the fly episode, and they say they fast forward it, they skip it. And then a lot of people will comment and they'll say, why would you say that? I think it's one of the great ones. And when Tom was on the show, I think Tom was on the show 2 weeks ago. Tom Schnauz, writer and director for Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul as well too, and our co-host. But we were asking about that too, and it was done because of budgetary constraints and stuff like that. And at the time, it was something they needed to do, and little did they know what it was going to turn out to be. Right? It actually is a very important one, and it really shows the characters.
And it was a very, like I said, it was a big risk, in my opinion,
to
take. If I was them and the crew, would be I would have been the one to speak. I'm guys, it's one location. How are we going to keep the audience going and watching this guy? But it was a metaphorical thing too. I would behoove people that fast forwarded to really sit down and be patient, because I think we've been indoctrinated into this. I need bang, bang, shoot 'em up moments, or else I'm not going to be kept, No, man, some of the best movies, in my opinion, and it was in the 70s. And it was a lot of movies were slow burns, but the payoff was so great.
Yeah.
And you'd walk away and would think about the movie because, it would hit so many levels that you would probably catch the next day and would make you want to go see it again. So that's why I say, if you watch that Fly episode and some of the people saying they fast forwarded it, watch it.
Do it. Yeah.
Be patient, and then catch what they're really trying to say. Everybody might have a different interpretation of it, but for me, I kind of saw it as, what it was for me.
Yeah.
And so I think it's underrated, and people are selling themselves short by not watching it. And if you're a writer, fucking study it.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly right.
didn't study because I'm a screenwriter too, and so I kind of I try to watch something the first time just to enjoy it, and then I'll watch it again and see what I enjoyed about it in a technical aspect and what worked, what didn't work, and that's why I noticed that. That's why I wrote that fly thing, because I know a lot of people that said, yeah, it was good. It was just different. It was just, they would say the same thing. It was just different. It wasn't like the show. I was like, exactly.
Yeah. Because you don't have to have the explosions and people dying and everything in every single episode, right? It reminds me of a show for when it comes to good writing and the fact that you don't have to have dialogue. And I'm not going to remember the name of it. Maybe someone like Bob in the chat will remember, or some other people in the chat. It goes way back. It's a black and white movie. It's a wartime movie. A Japanese fighter pilot gets shot down, an American fighter pilot. It's a famous male American actor, and I don't know who it was. Like back in like the Cliff Robertson, you know, those eras, right?
Montgomery Cliff movie?
I don't know.
Was it a Montgomery Cliff movie?
I don't know. I'll give you the gist of it. Maybe you know. So they're both shot down, and I think they're shot down over the Caribbean somewhere, or wherever, Mediterranean. And there's no dialogue, and they're both evading each other. They're both trying to kill each other throughout the whole movie. There's no dialogue, and I think at the end they almost become friends. And I won't say what happens because something tragic happens. But there's zero dialogue the entire movie. You know, so you have to. You okay?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I want to say that there was a, I don't know if it was a similar movie or not, but it was the same premise. It sounds like it was a German soldier and an American soldier in the same situation.
Okay.
And the war was over, right? But
yeah.
they didn't know.
Yeah, I think so.
That's it, right?
Yeah, but
yeah, and they didn't know, but they ended up becoming friends, and so they thought they were gonna kill each other at first, and they became friends, and like, oh no, the war's still going on. We're friends. What's gonna happen? When they save us, are we gonna have to go back to
hating each other?
I can't remember the name, but I think that's the one I'm thinking of. I don't know if it's the same one.
It sounds very familiar. I could be mistaken, the country of origin, but it's very cool. It goes to show you that, you know, you don't have to have the Michael Bay explosions and, you know, like the car chases and all that stuff, right?
No, like I said, some of my favorite movies come out of the 70s and the 90s, and it was like they were more character driven, and it was organic, and things were happening around them, as opposed to kind of nowadays it's more like the sets are more important and the explosions are more important and the CGI is more important, and then the actors are kind of like fillers.
Exactly.
Just to this scene.
That's right.
They're not really, you don't care about the characters a lot of times. And then there's some gems that come through, but for the most part, you're kind of, it's almost like it's a numb experience. You're just sitting there going, oh, okay, that happened.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I'm going to jump back to that once.
It's like the equivalent of watching Pornhub.
Yeah.
As opposed to watching a full-length, X-rated, well-written
it's
movie.
a dull movie.
You want to watch and be surprised when the sex happens, as opposed to let's go to the 7-minute clip.
That's right.
Yeah. There's no payoff, really.
I'm going to jump back to that in just 1 second. Bob Rich in the chat, he's answered the question, and I do remember it thanks to him. He says it's a movie called Hell in the Pacific, and yes, it is. Hell in the Pacific. So let's look that one up later. I want to get that. Let's see if I can rent it or whatever. A Lee Marvin movie. I don't know if it was Lee Marvin. It might have been Cinema Dave. Cinema Dave is saying a Lee Marvin movie. It might have been him. I don't seem to remember Lee Marvin. But anyways, yeah, going back to like, you know, Vince's work, I know not only do we have the world's greatest writers and the whole crew is good, but look at this, the sound crew, like, you know, Dave Porter, what he's done throughout all of Gilliverse, Thomas Golovich, the music supervisor. It's like, even the music is a character in these shows. And do you find that too?
I told him too at the rap party, one of the rap parties, or it may have been the AMC Emmy party I was at.
Okay.
But I told him, I was like, dude, I heard this Flavor Flav song that he played on the show, and I'm a hip hop head. I go way back.
Okay.
I'm a fan of Run, Public Enemy, Beastie Boys. And he played this Flavor Flav song, and I go, dude, he was DJing the party, and I go, I heard that song. That's Flavor Flav. I heard a little bit on the show. I go, where do you find these things? He's like, it's my little secret. But I begged him to make me a mixtape of all his obscure shit, because he would put some great music on that show. Baby Blue, I haven't heard that song, the closing song.
Mm-hmm.
That's I forgot who's it. Is it by Cream or?
No, guys and girls in the chat, throw that one out there. Who's the composer again? We'll get that for sure from the authorities. But Tom,
yeah, like that song I heard, and it was like, wow, man, it was just the guy he's really good at what he does.
well, it was funny. I had Thomas on the show, Thomas Golovich, not Tom Schnauz. I had him on the show earlier this year, and he was in his man cave, Badfinger. There you go, Karina, our head moderator and co-executive producer, Badfinger. I should have known that. 50 lashes for me. I have to go to the corner. I should have known that. That's bad. That's bad. There we go. She's texting me as well right now too. But Thomas was in his man cave downstairs, his office or whatever it may be. And you know what it's like when you see the old movies where you got people in the libraries, they got those ladders and they move around and you climb up the ladders to go get the book. That's his record collection. But
dude, as he had my respect when I heard that Flavor Flav obscure song, and I was like, was that even released to the public? Like,
yeah.
Do you have blackmail on Flavor Flav? How did you get that song?
I think Flavor Flav wrote it just for Thomas. I think. I
don't know, but it was. I distinctly remember. I was like, I thought I heard everything from back in the day, but he got it.
Yeah, he's pretty.
That's a funky white boy.
Yeah, he's got the collection, man. And one of our friends, it could have even been one of our moderators. I forget who asked the question, but they asked him if he had his first record. And I think it was one of the Star Wars records. And it was some kind of a cool animated looking thing on the cover. And it's not the Star Wars I used to have, the first one I had. But it was really cool. So he's got his first record still, which is nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So here's the question I have for you. And a lot of fans like to know this kind of thing too. Maybe you could share with us a little bit of the process about the audition process of getting your role in Breaking Bad. And were you a fan of the show going into it?
I'll start with the very odd auditioning process.
Sure.
From what I remember, because the character's name is Dennis Markowski, right?
Mm-hmm.
To which I'm pretty sure I didn't know that. It may have just been laundromat manager or something like that. Because if it was Dennis Markowski, why the hell would they be calling me in? So I'm pretty sure the name wasn't there. So I walk in and there's like it was Latino actors.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of them I knew because I would go in for Latino roles and book some stuff, even though I'm Jordanian. And I walked in, I was like, okay, and I did it. And I did the audition with like a Latino kind of, more like accent like that. Like, hey, man, I don't know what's going on, man. It's just like I own the laundromat, So I kind of did it with that. And I kind of toned it down when I actually, did the show.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know anything about the show.
Okay. And that's fair.
Never was on my radar. I went in, did it. They said, okay, you're doing an episode. I was like, okay, where am I? You're going to go to New Mexico, blah, blah, blah. So I do that first episode. I get on set. And by the way, I didn't know what was going on, but the first Avengers movie was using the other hangar in New Mexico. So first Avengers movies, I guess they were like bowling with each other on weekends. I was hearing stories like, oh yeah, we were bowling with them. But so I didn't get the script for my episode because I think there was a leak from the there was supposedly, I was told that there was a leak from the Avengers. The script got leaked and they had to change the ending, blah, blah, blah. So I guess there was some kind of,
security
breach.
Yep.
Yeah. So I didn't get the script. Maybe it was because of that. So I find out, I'm like, and I'm looking at the sides of my trailer. I'm like, Dennis Markowski. And that's when it dawned on me. I was like, I'm not Polish. Why am I? So I didn't question, like, you got the wrong guy,
Yeah.
An Arab guy booking a Latino filled room and Polish last name. So, so when I did it, I was like, cool. And I thought that was it for me, just that first episode. And I went home because I guess I couldn't tell anybody I was doing it at first. Then I went home and I could tell people. And somebody had asked me, what I was doing. I go, oh, yeah, I did the show Breaking Bad. And they're like, dude, you did Breaking Bad? Oh shit, you gotta watch it. I was like, what the fuck? Why? Okay. And then what I usually do, if I find out I'm doing a recurring role, I try to watch 1 or 2 episodes to get familiar with the show, to get the rhythm. Like, I got lucky booking it. So maybe next time when I go in, I'll be more prepared, and not prepared, but I know a little bit more, the tone of the show. So I was like, yeah, they're going to do this amazing show. I was like, oh, and then I find out I'm going back, and I was like, let me watch an episode or 2 just to get familiar. And I was fucking hooked. Like, I watched the pilot and I was like, okay, let me just watch more episodes. All right, by the time I got back to New Mexico, I was like up until that point when there was no more episodes to be shown until
Yeah,
the
so they
next
filmed.
season. I've never seen anything like it. I'm not a big TV watcher. I watch more movies. But there's certain, I think that the only shows that I've been on that I've watched the whole thing was that, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like I just watched, and then I was like, I just got hooked on both those shows. But that's when I found out the magnitude of the show, when people were freaking out when I was getting calls from people I haven't seen, and oh my God, I'm sitting there watching TV and I see your fucking ass walking. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's my best friend.
I didn't realize how, it was like a diehard fandom.
That's awesome. Yeah, you probably had friends you didn't even realize you had anymore. That's my best friend Mike. He's, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's hilarious. We've got a super chat a question coming in from Vernon Schillinger. Says, any stories from that day with the dog on set? That was really good. Gomez comes on, hey, I just got to ask you a question. And by the way, fantastic episode. But yeah, any memories with the dog on the set there? Yeah,
he's actually a comedian too.
The dog.
Mike, the one that plays. Yeah, no. Yeah, the dog too. He was big in the canine circuit. But so Vince Gilligan directed that episode, and that was the only episode he directed. And Moira directed my other 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just remember Vince was like, he was giving Mike a lot of notes about, hey, read it this way, read it that way, and he wasn't saying shit to me, and I was nervous, like I'm fucking up, like I thought I was, but he was just like, like that with me. He was really just, I trusted myself on the set. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't very much for me to do, so it was all in listening and all that, and I felt one of the few times you feel really comfortable and not worry about the director's going to come, hey, don't do that and do this, but don't look here and look. And it was cool. The dog was great. He sniffed my crotch a couple of times and we were buddies. But yeah,
like dogs do.
Yeah, and a lot of I think the people that worked there were like, they hired just a bunch of locals. A lot of people on the sets weren't really actors, and everybody's just so nice, man. I was just talking to this the stand-in guy for Vince, and he was telling me about his life, and he was a stunt guy, and he's just settled in New Mexico, and that was the first time I saw Bryan Cranston.
Oh, cool.
He showed up with the busted nose.
Yeah.
This was the scene. I didn't know what was going on, so I thought that was really happened to them. I guess they were filming part of another episode the same day where he got cracked in her nose. And I was like, oh shit! So I said hi to him, and I didn't realize. I thought somebody kicked his ass.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah. In real life, I was like,
fighting over a pay raise or something.
It was a great experience. It really was.
That's fantastic.
Was really...
Well, everybody that we've had on the show, from cast and crew, has said the exact same thing. It's like a big family, and when it wrapped, Better Call Saul, we'll talk about Better Call Saul coming up a little bit as well too, just a little tiny bit on that. But I know fans are going to be sad when that comes to an end. But was it a sad time, because you went back and became a fan of the previous seasons and stuff like that? Was it a sad time when it wrapped up for you and a lot of your colleagues?
It was personally, like I just did 3 episodes, and when I knew I wasn't coming back for that, I wasn't sad at all. I was happy to be part of a historic show. Like I understood the magnitude of it and the groundbreaking, character in it and storyline, and it was just a remarkable, moment of like, wow, man, I can't believe this show is this. Like, I was on this show.
Yeah.
And the writing and Vince, like, was just such a, like, it's very few humble geniuses in the world, and especially in Hollywood. People like to suck their own whatever.
Yeah.
He was the most humble genius I've met. Him and Adam Sandler was another one that was just very nice, great guy to work with, and you wouldn't suspect, that they would be that way. You just had this idea because
perception.
I wanted the people who are, and they really believe their own hype.
Yeah.
But Vince, total opposite of what I expected.
Oh, that's fantastic. We've heard wonderful things from everybody. So it is quite the family for sure. And that's why we call it the Gilliverse family. They never really leave.
He even was so nice to send me.
Grab that. I want to see that.
Can you see it?
No, we can't. Can you bring it down?
Yeah, I'm going to do that right now.
Tell us about this.
It was sent by this, and he wrote something that says, thought you might enjoy this neat poster. Hopefully you'll have fun searching Where's Waldo style for the character you portrayed, except for Brian and Aaron, who are easy to spot there on top of the heap. I hope you're doing well and that I'll get a chance to see you soon again. Best, Vince. And he hired me for his other show, Battle Creek.
Fantastic.
So he kept his word, but you can see like there's characters, Brian, and all that. But if you look right there.
Oh
Waldo,
yeah.
That's me on fire, everybody. Very traumatic, and he chose to rub it in.
Yeah.
So I'll put it here for now. But
that's perfect. Thank you for showing us that. That's great.
Yeah. He was, and he kept his word. He hired me for his other show, Battle Creek, that was on CBS.
Fantastic. A man of word in his honor. Here's another super chat. And speaking of being set on fire from Vernon Schillinger, says, any memories you can share from being set on fire? So obviously they probably had a stand-in double or.
Let me tell you this.
Yeah.
Like I said, again, I didn't know what was going on until I showed up on the set.
Right.
Had no idea. So I walked on and I looked to the right and there's this small Asian guy and he's in an orange jumpsuit and he's obviously has a little padding on it.
Mm-hmm.
And next to him is this kind of foam mask and the face is kind of melted.
Oh.
And bald. And I'm like, I go, what the hell? I go, what's going on? What's that? He goes, oh, just you. I go, what? I go, what do you mean? This is me. He goes, yeah, this is you. I'm you. I go like, okay, what? And before I can really register what was happening, then they tell me, okay, they used a real prison too. It was like an abandoned prison. And
yep,
it was a really weird, I guess the cell that they burned me in, they put me in, they go, oh yeah, you know, the guy that was in here, he murdered and ate his victims. Him and his girlfriend murdered and ate their victims.
And you're in that cell.
Okay. And it was such a creepy thing. I was stuck in that cell for like 3 hours shooting. I was like, oh, you can feel the ghosts, you know?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they just did that thing. And then sure enough, when you're seeing it, so whoever's getting burnt, me getting burnt is a 135-pound Asian guy getting burned.
Oh, geez. And I imagine too, being in that creepy cell probably added a little bit to the dynamic of what you portrayed too.
Yeah, there was that panic of like that was, I think that was a little bit real.
Yeah. Oh, that was incredible. And you know, Hazard Pay, that's one of my favorite episodes of all times. Well, I shouldn't say of the entire series, but one of my favorites for sure. And in the fact, I think Peter Gould wrote that one. Did you get a chance to work with Peter a few times too, or did you meet Peter on set?
He was there. I think that episode, Moira directed it.
Okay.
She was a writer, of course, and then they gave her. That's a good thing about Vince. I believe he gave a few of the writers chances to direct.
Mm-hmm. That happens often now. Yeah.
Which is, you know, he trusts, and she was great. I think she won an Emmy, I believe, for directing, or. If I'm mistaken, I could be wrong.
I'm not sure on that either. And that's what I'm going to defer to our fantastic, well-skilled live chat viewers.
She may have.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. But yeah, she directed, I think she directed Hazard Pay. I'm pretty sure she did.
Right on.
She directed both those last two episodes.
Here is, I'm going to jump over to our audio question segment of the program. And we've got two questions here. One is from Karina and the other is from Lori. And we'll start with Karina. So let me know if you can hear this. And here's Karina's question for you.
Hi, Mike. This is Karina. Welcome to the Gilliverse. First of all, you were in one of the most epic scenes in Breaking Bad history in that prison scene. I want to ask about another show, though. You were in an episode of one of my favorite comedy shows of all time, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. How did that come about, and are you a fan of the show?
Good question.
I answered her questions already. I'm huge.
That's right.
It literally is, hands down, it's probably top 3 comedy shows I've ever seen. Like it's been robbed. It should have won Emmy after Emmy after Emmy, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in there. I think I auditioned for it. It wasn't an offer. It was another show I got an offer for. So that one I did audition for very soon. And I improvised the line where I turned. They're fighting Sean Astin Scott and the other character, Mike McKelhey, I think is his last name. It was his character they were competing with each other. So anyways, he gets himself into a karate tournament, and I'm the referee, and I improvise a line like he bows at the wrong time. I go, not to me, Karate Kid, to him. And the reason why I threw in the Karate Kid is because in that gym scene, that was the same gym that in Karate Kid they had the epic battle in.
Oh, really?
The same exact gym. Yeah. So they told me that when I was shooting. I think Danny DeVito or somebody was talking about it.
Okay.
Holy shit, this is the same gym, you know? So it was they're all brilliant, man. They're all just they hit their marks at everything. And you can see them trying stuff and just everybody's on point. Even Danny DeVito, he seems like his energy is kind of low in between. I'm like, oh, he's, he doesn't have the. And then as soon as the camera's rolling, he's like, oh, what are you telling me?
Just turn it on, right?
Crazy. And I'm like, wow, this guy is like, it's amazing to watch,
So your improv went over okay, like the director.
Yeah. He was like,
that's cool. Yeah, and cool. Very, very in the moment too, considering where you were. That's neat. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've been fortunate. Like when I do stuff, like I improvise, and you'll do one take, and then you'll ask them, hey, can I mess with you? Yeah, just try it. And there's sometimes when I would go in auditions, and I'd improvise some stuff, and I wouldn't get the part, and then I watch a show, and I'm like, that was my fucking line.
Yeah.
Like, I improvised that goddamn line in the audition, and the writers are like, they use it. So I'm going to write credit. Yeah, but I've been fortunate enough to where I get to, you get to play sometimes,
Well, we'll actually, in a little bit too, we'll talk about some of your comic background as well too, but it is amazing too, how some of the stuff can be improvised, and a lot of times, I asked Tom this as well too, and a lot of stuff, about 90% of it or more, a lot more is to the script, to the letter. There's some things, where in Better Call Saul, where Bob will improvise some stuff like that. I think the one scene where he's doing in season 5, there's a couple scenes where there's some improv, but usually to the letter. But it's nice when you can kind of bend the rules a little bit, and having a comic background, which we will dive into, I think that helps a lot too, because you're telling your jokes, you're feeling out the audience. You have the chance on a stage where the actors don't, on TV, to redo and feel the audience. Like it's, you can if it's
yeah. And that's what my stand-up was. Like I could never write jokes, so I would almost like speeches. I would do bullet points. So I had the skeleton, and then it would allow me to kind of jump off and maybe start another topic by talking to an audience member, and then I'm like, oh, and then I go into my stuff related to that, so it's a little bit more freeing. And then when you go to a new state or even overseas, you like to a couple days early to get a feel of the sites and the people. And then you could open up fresh material, just starting off 5 minutes with talking about local stuff. And then, then you can get into your stuff. But that's kind of a sense you're improvising that as well. So it really helps,
For sure.
That free association. Yeah.
It does. Yeah, it does. And that's where I think a lot of actors, all through Gilliverse, they've all been, most of them have had some theater background and some extensive theater background. Bryan Cranston, for instance, but they say they like doing that a lot, even still, because it's that sense of no safety net. You don't get a chance. Like, let's try that again. Yeah.
And it keeps things fresh. And if you're a comedian, it's like the audience knows when it's off the cuff, and it's that much more funny because they know there's the risk subconsciously, And if it doesn't go over, it's the worst bomb ever. You're like, oh shit, I thought this was going to get a laugh. I just thought about it backstage, and
I know.
And it doesn't work sometimes, but yeah, that's why, Bryan Cranston's like brilliant to me. It didn't even dawn on me it was the same guy from Malcolm in the Middle, or I didn't dawn on me in particular that he was the fucking dentist on the Seinfeld.
Yeah.
I just didn't correlate it. I was like, oh shit, that's right. It just, you forget his range is phenomenal.
Yeah, it certainly is.
His range is phenomenal, like really phenomenal.
Everybody that's worked with him as well too says like how he'll take him under his wing, and encourages even the most inexperienced actors, and turns them into some greatness.
He said it's like you got to go in that room not giving a fuck. You have to just your job is to really get into the not wondering what they want, because if you do that, you're gonna give a surface performance. Like you got to trust your judgment and do something and just be remembered. And so he's really wise with this, and he's very generous with his time and very easygoing. No
egos or attitudes, and
no devo attitude at all, man. He's just really, it's contagious apparently on the set. Because I was just, everybody's really humble. Like I remember in particular, because we chartered a flight from LA to New Mexico, and Aaron Paul was on the flight, him and his then girlfriend, now wife. But he was walking down the aisle to sit down, and this guy sitting, he goes, "Oh shit, you're Ron Paul. My sister loves you." And he called him Ron Paul.
Ron Paul.
Fucking, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Aaron could have easily said, "Hey, I'm Aaron Paul," because he goes, "Yeah, my sister loves you. She's in the hospital. She's real sick," and because the guy just kept going. You know?
Yeah.
So you see in Aaron's face is like, "Oh yeah, well, hey man, I hope she gets better." But
didn't make him feel bad.
Hey, it's fucking Aaron. Get it right. You know what I mean? But it's just those little moments you see in that person. A person like him at his level, he could have easily been an asshole. Easily,
yeah. There's some people
easily been, and I've seen people, that are, I'm not gonna name names.
No.
I've seen them just be like, why do you feel the need to be an asshole? Like, it's just you have a fan, and you're being a prick.
Sometimes they forget where they've come from, right? Everyone started at the bottom.
I understand it, and I understand a little bit of it because you're getting bombarded a lot.
Sure.
I had a couple friends that went to a big, and they almost get into a paranoid state because, it's like they're getting bombarded. But just the fact that he did that, you're Ron Paul.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. That's good.
That's your sister. I hope she feels better. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very classy. That speaks a lot of his character.
The whole set for me, it was contagious.
Yeah, that's nice.
Everybody on the set was just really nice.
Positivity is contagious. It is.
Yeah, you set the tone, and I think everybody followed Vince's lead. Is like, as nice as he is, from my experience, everybody else is just as nice. Yeah. Everybody. Top
to bottom, everywhere in between.
In front of and behind the camera. Yeah.
That's why I think it's such a success. Everything that they touch, and Better Call Saul, which we'll touch base on here before the end of the program too. The same thing there. It just continues and continues. Here's a super chat from Jennifer Stevens, one of our good friends here. And she says, Mike, who are some of your favorite comedians growing up, and who inspired you? That's a great question.
Okay. Curly from the Three Stooges.
Nice. You look a little bit like him, a little bit with the hair there.
My certainly. I actually auditioned for the Three Stooges movie that came out with,
Okay.
They were doing like a different takes on it. So Curly from the Three Stooges, one of the best improvisers, one-liners, slapstick. Richard Pryor.
Oh, yes.
Jonathan Winters. Tim Conway. And I want to say a toss-up between Andy Kaufman and John Belushi.
Wow, that's a good mix. That's a really good mix. Yeah, fantastic. Tim Conway.
They're like the Transformer robots. You put those together and you get the perfect comedic genius on every level.
Oh, man.
Slapstick and monologue, everything.
Put all those guys in one room if you could do it at the one time. Can you imagine? And you'd be leaving there in stitches, like literal stitches for sure. Yeah. Goodness. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, definitely good influences for Richard Pryor. I watched him as a kid. I'd have to try to sneak and listen to him when my parents weren't, around.
He was beyond comedy. He was theater.
Yeah.
He literally he could do monologues. That scene with the junkie and the wino, and the junkie's like, I timed it once where he does the junkie shooting up, and he's just watching the junkie trip and almost fall and try to catch his balance. He goes on like that for almost 2 minutes of silence on stage.
Wow.
And getting a laugh just by almost passing out. And it was like, and it'd break your heart. And at the same time, he would do political shit. He would do physical humor and one-liners, and he just had it all, like across the boards.
That's fantastic. And Jen says, great mix of talents. Blue Shoe is one of her favorites as well, too. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
I'll jump back over now to the second audio question. This one's from Lori, and Lori usually has some deep dive questions. I didn't listen to this one. Today, I just maximized the volume of them. I put them on, so I have no idea what it is, and I know it's going to be deep because she always has deep ones, so be prepared for this one.
How you doing, Mike? This is Lori. Did you get into more mischief when you were an altar boy at Holy Redeemer or when you hung out at Fairlane? Thanks very much.
Did I what?
You want to hear it again? Listen again. It's something about getting to mischief. Here we go.
How you doing, Mike? This is Lori. Did you get into more mischief when you were an altar boy at Holy Redeemer or when you hung out at Fairlane? Thanks very much.
Altar boy at Holy Redeemer or Fairlane?
Okay, wait a minute. That scares the shit out of me. How does she know this?
Don't ask me, man. We call her the female Mike Ehrmantraut. We don't know how she does this. She knows a guy who knows a guy, so... You know,
dude, that scared me just now.
She scares me too.
I was an altar boy at Holy Redeemer, and Fairlane was the mall I used to hang out in, and we'd get messed up and go hang out and peruse the mall. Holy shit! I just got a flashback. Wow. Listen, let's just say, I grew up in a bad neighborhood, let's just say I was a fast runner. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, that's a fair answer. That's good. Yeah, she's scared. I don't even know what she knows about me. I don't even want to know what she knows about me. So
how the hell did she know I was an altar boy or a Redeemer?
I don't know.
And Fairlane. Those are the most two obscure things. That really scares me. Does she know like somebody in my family? Did she grow up in Michigan or?
She knows a guy who knows a guy.
God damn it, that scares me.
I'll ask her after.
I'm freaked out right now.
I know. I don't know how she knows it. She's stumped a lot of our guests. Like we had Michael Slovis on the show.
Does she work for NSA? Like what's going on? Seriously, I'm scared.
It could be. I don't think she's at that level. I think she's a couple levels underneath. I think she's. Yeah.
That just blew. It just blew my mind.
I knew it was going to be. I knew it was going to be deep, and I don't even have to listen to her questions to know that they're going to be deep. And
that's some James Lipton shit right there.
Yeah. I just hope
inside the actor's studio, like he knows some shit about people. That that was very weird.
I just hope she never asked me a question because I'm not gonna have an answer. That
freaked me out. Yeah.
There you go.
That was a good one, Lori.
All right.
You got me.
Well, let's talk about, as we're wrapping up, we're down to about the last 10 minutes of the show. Let's talk about Better Call Saul, and one of the companion shows, a spinoff, and obviously some fans are really loving it. And I know we were talking off the air a little bit about it, but I won't share what you've said. You can tell the audience. So, did you discovered Better Call Saul, and are you watching any of it, or are you a fan of it at all, or what's your thoughts on it?
I watched up till season 3. I was actually I think the second episode or the last episode I had done on Breaking Bad. Bob Odenkirk was in the transport van, and he was talking about, I think at the time, like possibly having a spinoff about his character.
Right.
I kind of got privy to it, but I think when he was talking about it, he was saying, we're talking about maybe, because I was mentioning that I was a big fan of the Bob and Dave show that he did on HBO with David Cross. You ever see that?
Yeah, Mr. Show.
Yeah. Brilliant show.
Yeah.
Brilliant show. And so that being said, when I heard about that, I was like, man, I hope it's good. But I go, it's going to be good. I mean, of course. How can you not? It's Vince Gilligan. And I had the same feeling about El Camino because I was like, oh, don't do it, man, because it ended so perfect. Don't do it. And I was like, oh, I hope it was fucking great.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. It was perfect. He kind of quashed my fears of like, oh man, I hope he doesn't. It's because like when you have a classic movie, let's say
Star Wars,
you get mad. You're like, why are you quote unquote rebooting it? Why are you trying to do a part 2? You just leave it because it taints. Matrix, a good example. Matrix 1, great. 2 and 3 fucked up the mythology and destroyed the whole goddamn first movie for me. When I watch it, I get angry thinking about 2 and 3.
Because you know it's coming.
Seriously. So I thought that was going to be the case with Better Call Saul and El Camino. Better Call Saul, I had to dip back into it because I watched up until season 3 because I was kind of binging. And then I kind of you get busy with life. Things come up and you just kind of lose track and you don't go back to it. You know what I mean? And but I'm just gonna probably do most shows seriously that I've caught. I never got into Seinfeld when it was on the air, but I watched it in syndication. Then I got, it was a great show.
You can binge easy in syndication, yeah.
Yeah, so that may be the situation with Better Call Saul. But from what I've seen up till season 3 was really great. Really, and Michael McKean, we were mentioning, he was brilliant in that role.
I highly suggest you continue when you get a chance, because after season 3, I mean, 4 and 5, and obviously 6 coming next year, it really gets going. You don't have to wait for it, but there's good backstory, a lot of backstory. It just gets really, really good. So when you get a chance, you gotta watch it.
I'm definitely gonna do that. Like I said, the last 2 seasons of Breaking Bad, especially the last season, that son bitch had my heart almost exploding in every fucking episode of those 2 seasons. Like, I hated Walt. I loved Walt. I hated Walt. I loved Walt. I was on the edge of my seat, and I was like, holy crap. It was so good.
Well,
Better Call Saul, I really like.
And the level of first of all, we know we have to give a nod to, and I was fortunate to have them on the show, Sharon Bialy and Sherry Thomas, casting directors.
They cast me in a couple of shows, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so we talk about Dave Porter, we talk about Thomas Golovich, and Sharon and Sherry. They're paramount for the characters on the show. I mean, their talent brings us some of the greatest actors,
and they're highly respected and loved. I mean, they're very, like I said, people don't really think about it, but there should be a goddamn Emmy category and an Academy Award category for casting.
I'm sure they'd love to hear that. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying it to say it. Think about it. So many directors will tell you, and you see them in interviews, it really is, a lot of it has to do with casting. Because we see great actors that they hit in one thing, and the studio's like, oh, well, you'll work over here. And you're watching like, ugh. Well, like, now I see that you're a shitty actor, but it really isn't them being shitty. Because why are they so great here but shitty here? They weren't right for it.
That's right.
No matter what, you can't fit in a size 10 and a size 5 shoe.
No. Well,
those 2 are great.
Here's a good example. Yeah, here's a good example, and I don't mean to go off into a tangent for another show, but I mean, I like a lot of the superhero movies and stuff like that. And Batman is one of my favorites. Iron Man is another favorite. But the Batman series, and I wish I could say who the casting directors were for the role of Joker when Heath Ledger, rest in peace, when he was cast as, and we always hear this. We always hear someone is now going to be the new Batman or the new Joker.
Backlash.
I know, but look what he did. But how many of us had to eat crow after, right?
Same thing with Michael Keaton as the first Batman.
Loved him.
So much backlash.
Yeah.
He's a comedic actor, and he was a comedian too. He was a stand-up comedian before he was an actor.
I know.
So he has a background of comedy. They're like, what the, so much. But now, for my money, he's one of, if not the best Batman. If you want to stay true to the comics.
Yeah.
He balanced the campy with the serious. Jack Nicholson's the same thing with the Joker.
Yeah.
They did a really good balancing act.
I would be prepared. Honestly, this is how serious I am about it. I'd be prepared to fight my defense that Michael Keaton is the best Batman. I will go on the record to say he is.
I would not be behind you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll just be me and you.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, I would, like I said, for the tone that they were going for, it straddled the line of seriousness and a throwback to the 60s with Adam West, and it was perfect, and it was true to the comic. If you watch those sources and look at what Tim Burton did and the actors, and it was the casting too. It was just it was risky casting for Heath Ledger and Michael Keaton for sure.
And
that's why I said they see something that most people don't. I've had Sally Steiner was a big she's another big casting director, cast me in some shows. She even got me to the point, she has so much respect to where she would just tell the producers, she would either bring me straight to producers, or she would, Ryan Reynolds had a show in America a long time ago called Two Guys That Grow in a Pizza Place.
Okay.
It was on ABC, and Sally Steiner got me just directly on the show without auditioning, because she believed in me and said, oh, I booked him on this. Don't worry, he'll be fine. So I did a guest star on that show with mine. Me and him had a scene together, And so that's the kind of power that some of these cast directors have, that they're trusted enough to, by these directors saying, okay, well, if you can vouch for this person, then sure, bring them straight to producers, or if it's a smaller part, just bring them on the show.
That's fantastic.
So that's why I said you need the category in the Oscars and Emmys for casting.
I agree. There's a good question coming up from Teresa Martinez in a second, and I have to ask this just before hers because I will forget, and it's something I try to do on every show. And this is a funny thing. Tom Schnauz, writer director and my co-host, he came up with this thing a while back. So we call the Gilliverse, right? This thing that encompasses everything Vince Gilligan touches inside the Breaking Bad universe. Breaking Bad, El Camino, Better Call Saul. And so we take off into our imaginary rocket ship every Friday night. We go into the Gilliverse. There's a smell there when we get there. I mean, and I'll give you some examples. It might smell like a bad comedy club, backstage in a comedy club. It might smell like a washroom, a hockey puck in a washroom, in a urinal. I don't know. But it smells like two things. And there is a right answer. So I'm going to ask you right now, what does it smell like? What would you think it smells like in the Gilliverse? This and that.
What would it smell like in the Gilliverse?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And you can venture anything you want. Reach for the stars on this one.
And it has to be a smell. Smell.
Yeah. So So I'll give you another example. Okay. It could be like hockey equipment in a bag, hockey equipment, and Tom Schnauz shoes. Okay.
I want to say it smells like a gaseous, almost borderline rotting spearmint peppermint smell.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does, but incorrect. But you got to give me one more though. It's that plus that. It could be rotten peppermint smell and.
Oh, okay.
There's an and.
So like almost a rotten peppermint minty smell and hot dog water.
I love that. Hot dog water. Okay. So you're close, even though there's not much pork really in a hot dog. I don't think there's any real meat at all in a hot dog, but
a little bit of pork.
Yeah, a little bit. Bacon and fear. Bacon and fear is the correct answer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, there you go.
And when Vince Gilligan was on the show, he guessed bacon, so he was part way. So he was in tune. But there's, it's a funny thing. It's just one of Tom's things he does.
Bacon? Where do you get bacon and fear from?
I think Tom might have told me the fear, but just bacon. Tom puts bacon on his cereal. He does. His bacon is everything for him.
So that's the smell you want people to say. I
guess that's the correct answer. Yeah. No one's got it right, but Vince got halfway. He got bacon, so we had to give him the honorary correct.
So now, don't you think that in a future episode,
mm-hmm.
somebody you have on here may have seen this little segment and are going to guess bacon and fear?
Nobody watches all my shows. They might.
Well, you ask the same question at the end of every show.
I
right?
do. Yeah. But the thing is,
like a schmuck, I didn't watch it. I didn't even know it existed until.
That's okay.
What would I have won if I would have guessed it right? Just tell me.
You would have got this. You would have had the privilege of being correct. That's it. So there you go.
I thought you were gonna give me the bear behind you or something, like a bobblehead at least.
Yeah, we might be able to get you some bobbleheads from our sponsors at bobbleheads.com for sure.
Give me a bobblehead.
All right. I can see what I can do for you.
So what's the question from
Teresa? This is a good one. Yeah, this will probably be our last question for the evening.
Okay.
She says, Mike, how many times have you watched Breaking Bad? Some of us have watched it so many times, 20, 30, 50. I'd love to know if you've rewatched it.
I've watched it once full through, like I said,
mm-hmm.
and then every now and then, if I see an AMC will run the marathon, there was a time when they were doing the marathon,
mm-hmm.
I would jump in an episode, because now that I know the whole thing, I can kind of either on demand jump to an episode I really liked, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't sat through the whole thing again from back to back. But I know several people who have watched it 5, 6, they know it so well that they recognize me if I'm walking. Hey, aren't you? I'm like,
yeah.
How the fuck did? And they go, oh, I've seen it like 5, 6 times, the whole thing. I'm watching it again now because my husband never seen it. So I'm watching it with him now. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. They're like really. because they pick up things. So when I talk to them, they literally pick up things on the third viewing of it.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time. That happens.
Yeah, and they're like, oh my God. And I think Vince may have told me this around that he uses colors in a certain way, you know.
They do.
He said if you notice, like Brian Canson's character was really dim and muffled, you know, kind of dim colors, gray, brown, and then it got a little bit more vibrant.
Yeah, not
colorful, but more vibrant.
It changed the tone of the characters.
Diluted. The colors weren't as diluted.
Yes,
and it meant something. And the green in this episode meant that, and the purple. I'm sure he broke it down. You know.
Oh yeah, look, just Google on YouTube. Just type in Breaking Bad color theories and you go down a rabbit hole on that one.
And that's the scene of great writing. He really understands every aspect of like the audience subliminally. You catch, you know, he knows how to embed things and, you know, create the tension by doing this little thing, or, you know, visually, if somebody's watching the screen and something's out of place in the background, they don't really notice it, but there is causing some kind of anxiety in them.
Agreed. And the viewer doesn't.
And they don't even realize it's happening from just that little object in the back. Like,
I know.
Oh, it's about to fall back, but they don't even notice it. So it's a lot of psychological toying, you know.
There's no way the audience can get away from not having emotion from the shows, because number one, the writing first and foremost, the actors, the things like foreground, background, like you're talking about, the musical score, color. I mean, how does a person have a chance as a viewer to not be reacting to this show? That's why it's a success.
It's senses overload without you feeling overloaded. You know what I mean? It's a lot of it is subliminal.
I know.
And that's the genius of it. That's great.
Yeah.
He's very meticulous, you know. It's not accidental genius.
It's all in the details, and that's what he's been quoted, that people have said that about him that work with him closely. You know, it's all in the details. There is one last question.
Every episode is like a movie.
I know.
That's the marker of a great mind.
Agreed. Agreed.
Anyways, go ahead.
No problem. This is the last one. This is coming in from Richard O'Brien. Richard says, I'm wondering if you can share what it was like to keep discretion about season 5 before it aired.
Oh, I tend to just do the stuff, and a lot of my stuff I don't even like kind of watch. I just kind of, you know, because you think of things. But like I said, with Breaking Bad, I, you know, loved watching it. But to be honest with you, I just had to keep secret that I was on another episode coming up, or I was on. But to be honest, like I said, I didn't know. I was learning as you guys were.
Exactly. Yeah.
I wasn't getting the script.
Yep.
I was getting the sides in my trailer. Here's what you're doing today, and go out there and do it.
And even
get prepared.
And even if you had it, you're under NDAs.
I don't even recall. Yeah, I don't even recall getting the sides the night before, or it was literally on set, from what I recall. I could be wrong though. My memory is not great, but I do recall, you know, vividly, is like, no script, you get no script. Wow.
And this, just a side note for that one, I'll ask this as we wrap up. So obviously having a comedic background, you're good on your feet. Is it nervous for you as an actor? So you're just getting your script and you're going to go walk into a soundstage and do a scene. Do you get nervous when you don't have time to prepare for the lines?
No, because something kicks in adrenaline wise that I gotta do this. Because there'd be times when you're literally like the night before, they give you sides from let's say a movie or a TV show, and you rehearse that.
Okay.
And you're like, okay, and then you get on set and maybe you do a little bit of the scene and you go back to your trailer, we got to set up for the other shot, blah, blah, and then they come in like, hey, these are the new sides. We're gonna call you in 20 on set. I'm like, oh shit. And if it's a comedy, yeah, I get less nervous because I know I know what's going on in the scene. I can maybe improvise and hopefully get away with it. But a good thing with me, what I've learned, and I don't know if I have the ability or just kind of acquired it, but I think in pictures. I don't think about the words. I read the words, but I think, oh, this is happening here in this scene. And for some reason it would register in my brain and I know where to go. And it's kind of an association thing, but it's easy to think in pictures as opposed to worry about thinking about the words and waiting for, I gotta wait for him to say this and then I say that, you know? if you just listen, you'll get it. Listen to the other actor.
I agree. I agree. Well, listen, this has been absolutely fantastic. I want to thank you so much for your time. It's nice to connect with you when you're just across the border over there, and and we'll extend an invitation for you to come back next year as well too. And maybe by that time you'll have caught up on season 5, Better Call Saul, and we'll talk about what your predictions might be for season 6, and who might go, because there's a lot of debate right now who's gonna not make it, because we have some characters that aren't.
Where are they at? Let me ask you this: where are they at right now? Where you left off? What's happening?
Well, there's a character called Kim Wexler. She's Jimmy's now. I don't want to say what her relation is to Jimmy, because I don't want to spoil it for you. But she's connected to Jimmy before Jimmy becomes Saul Goodman. And she's not in Breaking Bad, as you know. There's no Kim Wexler in Breaking Bad.
She's the lawyer. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
So there's a lot of worry about her. Okay. And there's Howard Hamlin, played by the fantastic Patrick Fabian. He's a lawyer as well too. He's not in Breaking Bad. So these people can coexist in a universe that they're not there. I mean, Did
they build the laundromat yet with the meth lab underneath?
Mm-hmm. Well, they're working. Yeah, they were working on it. Yep.
They're working on it.
Yeah.
It's not erected.
No.
Okay, so that's where they're at. Okay. Yeah. Now I get it.
There was engineering going underneath it, and then there was problems with that, so production had to stop.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll see more of that probably. We'll probably see that complete. We will see that completed, I'm sure. I mean, I don't have insider information, don't get me wrong. But we'll see that next season. But it's going to be good. You'll want to see it.
I'm definitely going to dip into it for sure.
Yeah.
Get back to it.
Well, I'm going to say goodbye to you off the air, so don't go away. So I'll just let everybody know here. Actually, I should mention as well too. I got a little. We had a contest about a week ago. Last time Tom Schnauz was on the show, and we mentioned this on our Facebook page, but I'll mention the winners again tonight too. Tom gave us, this is as rare as it gets. This is a Land of Enchantment, season 5, episode 9. You can see the Better Call Saul on the back, and they're limited edition crew shirts. So we had 2 to give away. Tom sent me one as well too, and Tom signed the tag.
Signed it.
Yeah. So our winners, we had 2 to give away, and Jen Stevens won, and she's in the chat here as well today, and also.
Congrats, Jen.
Yeah, and Chris from it's Saul Goodman on Twitter. Chris, he won as well too. So congratulations to both of them, and thank you to Tom for doing that. And before we go too, I do need to thank everybody that makes the show happen. So I want to thank our sponsors at bobbleheads.com. You see all those cool figures behind me back there.
Yes.
A big thank you to all of our viewers. A huge thank you to Karina, our head moderator, and she's now co-executive producer of the show. She really helps put this program together. And Jen and everybody else, and Renata, everybody in the chat, we thank you so much for everything that you do to moderate our chats, keep things running smooth. We are off next Friday, occupied that evening, but we'll be back the following Friday. So we encourage you, if you're new here again tonight as well too, first time, consider hitting that subscribe button down below. And I promise to work just as hard to keep you as a subscriber as I did to get you. So we're going to look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Have a safe and fun weekend, everybody. Mike, thank you so much. I'll say goodbye off the air. And until next time, cheers.
Thanks again for tuning into Inside the Gilliverse with Eric Broadbent. Be sure to check back each week for more great discussions and interviews with cast and crew from Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. Please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends.